Hi, in today's webinar, we'll be covering Dynamics 365 Field Service Copilot functionality. Before we do, we'll have a quick overview of what Field Service is and look at some of the problems that frontline workers are having before we dive into the Copilot features within the Field Service application. So Dynamics 365 Field Service is one of the apps within the Dynamics 365 product suite, and it can help with the end-to-end field resource management process. So from selling proactive service agreements to managing reactive cases which become work orders through their entire life cycle from sale through to billing at the end. It's got scheduling capability in there with route planning and optional or AI-driven optimization features. There's engineer tracking and customer self-service portals as well, so users can see where their engineer is and when they're coming, and they can also book their own jobs. We can manage proactive contracts or reactive work as well, so we can create agreements or service contracts that cover particular assets and manage the entire life cycle of that. Equally, we can create reactive jobs for visits or repairs or whatever the situation might be. Within the platform as well, we've got the ability to manage resources. So that includes their skills and characteristics, but also their availability. So effectively, who can perform what work and when. And the whole solution is built on the Dynamics 365 and Power Platform underneath it. So that allows us to extend the solution, customize it, but also integrate it with other systems as well. So it's a complete solution for managing the entire field service lifecycle. So some of the problems we see when we're speaking to field service users is typically that users on the front line need to be agile and they need access to information quickly. So they need to see the details of the job they need to go to next, or they need to see the history of a particular asset that they're servicing, or they need to see what parts they've got available to use on a job. So all of this requires a kind of intuitive and responsive interface and application for anyone who's out in the field. That needs to be able to work offline as well. And for back office users, we need to do things like see where engineers are, what they're scheduled to do next. If there's any changes to their day, how do we deal with those? Do we need to reschedule things? Do we need to move things around? So it's really important to have that two-way communication as well. We can see from the stat there from Microsoft's research that not being able to find the information they need is one of the most disruptive issues that those frontline workers face. As I say, that could be around equipment, could be around details of the customer, where they need to go, that kind of thing. So the Copilot set of features is a set of new capabilities that have been added to the field service application recently, all designed to improve the productivity of our field resources that are out and about delivering work. So first of all, we'll look at how we can access detail around a particular work order using Copilot. So this is using generative AI technology like the entire Copilot suite across all of Microsoft's products. And that allows us as an engineer to use human language to interrogate the data in the system. So in this case, we're asking for details of a work order, and then what Copilot's doing is summarising that for us into a kind of easily consumable summary. So we can see in this case what the problem is, what part needs replacing, and the reason that work order has been generated in the first place. So rather than the engineer or the field resource having to go and look in lots of different places to go and find that information, Copilot can summarise that, give them the most relevant information. That's got references in it as well, so if they need to go and look at the related record where that summary has come from to dig into more detail, they can do that directly from within the application. So all of these features are optimized for mobile, so they're really quick and easy to use, and are really going to make those field resources more efficient. And I've also got some additional Copilot capabilities as well in terms of updating work orders. So here we can see just by typing a brief summary of where we've been and what we've done in natural language, Copilot can then take that and turn it into a number of system updates to the work order record. So by describing where we've been and what we've done, Copilot will then suggest the updates to make to the underlying work order. We can then refine those if we need to, or approve them, and they'll then be posted back to that job. So again, really quick way for frontline workers to simply describe what they've done, but then we're also keeping the system up to date so people in the back office can see what's going on. Those updates that are driving further actions like notifications or the closure of the job or the raising of an invoice are all happening automatically, so we can really shorten the cycle of having to go and update multiple records. So we don't need to say, yes, we've completed it, we've traveled here, we've replaced these parts. We can summarize that as a brief update, and then have the system update the relevant multiple records that sit behind that for us. So again, big time saver. We can do that using speech to text as well, as you can see from the shots on screen there. So the engineer can literally describe what they've done, and that can go and update lots of records in the background. Next up, we'll have a look at the add-in for Outlook. So there's a field service Copilot add-in for Microsoft Outlook. So this is accessible on the desktop or the web. And using this add-in, we can take an inbound email, really quickly turn that into a work order. So again, using some AI capability, it's looking at the message there to determine what the problem is, what particular asset has that problem, and then using all of that information to put together a draft work order that we can then refine if we need to and fine tune, and then submit and create a work order in the system. So yeah, it's picking out who the customer is, what the problem is, what assets got a particular problem, and turning that into a work order for us, and then allowing us to quickly respond to the customer with an acknowledgement of the problem and details of that newly created work order. So within I don't know, 4 or 5 clicks, we managed to generate that work order, save it. We can schedule it from there if we want to, and then send an update back out to the customer. So before we had this Copilot add-in, that would have involved multiple steps, having to transpose information from an email into the system, go and create a work order, create a booking, send an update to the customer. So massively shortened the sequence of actions there, and we can provide a much slicker and more responsive service to our customers by using that add-in. So again, that's using some generative AI capability in the background to understand the inbound message, to translate that into a work order for us, populating the relevant fields. So things like the priority, the assets that are involved, and when that work needs to happen, all from within that single interface. So we haven't had to leave Microsoft Outlook to get all of that work done and update the relevant systems and respond to the customer. We can do it all in a kind of simple flow within the context of the application that we're working in. Next up, we'll have a look at some of the scheduling capability that's now within Microsoft Teams. So again, this is a big efficiency saver and really making life simple for those users that are having to deal with a high volume of work orders and schedule those in. So we can do it from a single interface within Microsoft Teams. So that's where we spend a lot of our day anyway, doing most of our work. So within there, we can go and find a particular work order. We can go and get suggestions for who might be able to carry that work out. So there we're looking at things like their skills and their characteristics, but also their availability, and who's best to go and do that based on the travel time to that job, when they're available, what they've got to do next. So taking into account all of those parameters, and again, really shortening the sequence there. So getting from a work order being logged in the system, so that could have come in via a portal or a customer phoning up, or a case that's been converted into a work order because some work needs to be done, whether we need to go and repair something, go and visit someone, whatever it might be. All of that work flows in to the list here within Teams, and then with a few short steps, we can find appropriate suggested resources to go and fulfill that work, really quickly schedule them in, and then in the background we can go and let the customer know that that's happened. Equally, we can go and reschedule existing work orders as well. So again, we're kind of consolidating the number of apps that the user's got to use, and reducing the number of steps in that process, making those processes more efficient, a much better service for the customer, but also reducing the risk of mistakes within that process as well. Another kind of key announcement here, not necessarily Copilot related, but this is the addition of Dynamics 365 Remote Assist to the field service license cost. So for no additional cost, the licenses you've already got, or you might procure for field service, we can now harness the power of Remote Assist. So Remote Assist allows us to really quickly get the help of an expert via Microsoft Teams. We can call them from the job itself, as you've seen there. Then we can share a view of the world so they can see what we're seeing, and then we can annotate that. So in this example, we can draw a circle around the thing that needs to be replaced or fixed. And what that allows us to do is really scale service teams efficiently. So we can have a team of experts in the office that are helping multiple resources out in the field. So that allows us to have a more kind of diverse blend of skills within the team, but make sure anyone who's out in the field can get help when they need it. So that could be another colleague who's out in the field, or someone back in the office who's got access to more information and more material, but using that kind of virtual reality experience, they can see what the person out in the field is seeing, so they can really share experience, have a conversation about it, and share that knowledge to get to a resolution really quickly. In addition to remote assist as well, we've also got Dynamics 365 guides now included in field service at no additional cost. So what this allows us to do, again, from the context of a work order, in that work order, we know what the asset is that we're going out to see or service, and from there we can directly access from a task a guide for that particular piece of work. So that can help guide us through a process, whether it's servicing something or replacing something or whatever it might be. We've taken through a really simple kind of step-by-step process via the guide to help us do that. So again, thinking about scaling service teams and not having to train everyone up to the same level, we can have our more senior guys producing these guides, and then field resources out executing them and following those steps to get the job done. So here we're now back in the kind of back office view, if you like, of the Dynamics 365 application. So here we're looking at it in a web browser, and we can see we've got a vastly kind of redesigned work order form experience here. So we've got much more engaging controls. We can see a lot more information in a small space. We can really quickly update work orders. We can change the status, priority, etc. And then we've got Copilot there working alongside us to do things like summarize that work order. So we can take a quick look and see a recap of all of the history, so everything that's happened, what's been done, what we've gone out and fixed, when we've been to visit. All of that information is all in one place. We can also see any bookings there. We can see the cost associated with those and any revenue that we've made through a sale there. Equally, what parts have been used, how long we were on site, what we had to do to fix it, do we need to schedule a follow-up appointment. So all of that's been condensed down into a really user-friendly and accessible form. So that's again going to really speed up operations and reduce a lot of the kind of navigating around multiple forms that we used to have to do, where work orders and bookings were separate, the work order and asset was separate, for example. And to get the kind of overview that we get with the Copilot recap, we have to go and look in lots and lots of different places to go and find that information. That's all now easily accessible in one single view. So to summarize what we've seen today, there's multiple new AI capabilities rolling out across field service and the wider Dynamics stack, and we're seeing these features come out faster and faster now. So there's more and more capability available, all included in existing licensing, and all really seamlessly integrated into the app and the experience as well. So we just see that little Copilot button dotted around in various places, and we can really use that to boost efficiency, and really slicken up those processes and provide a better customer service. And it's all built on the kind of Power Platform underneath it, and Dynamics on top of that. So we know we've got an enterprise grade platform and set of tools there that's robust and scalable as well. That applies to things like the mobile app. So we know we can scale that to a large number of users. We've got reliable offline functionality, and a really performant and engaging app for those people that are out on the front line. And looking at the roadmap as we look further ahead, there's again more and more new features being added in, lots of those with AI capability in there as well. So we'll see more and more of those generative AI tools kind of taking center stage within Microsoft's product set, and it's going to be a change for people to understand how best to work with them and adopt them, but using some of the tools that we've seen today, like being able to describe an update to a work order rather than go through and fill in 20 or 30 fields. Once people get used to that, it's going to be a really different way of working and massively speed up the way we do things. And then finally, we've got the kind of ease of integration as well with the wider Microsoft product set. So things like Teams and Outlook, as we've seen today, but also non-Microsoft products. So via the Power Platform and tools like Power Automate and Power Apps, we've got the ability to bring together disparate systems and systems from different vendors. So for example, if you're running a non-Microsoft ERP solution that's got all your stock information in it, we can still bring that into field service and make that available to field engineers. So yeah, so that's one example, but there's lots of examples out there of that interoperability, and how we can really use that to increase efficiency and benefit organizations. So that's a quick overview of some of the new capabilities within field service and some of the new Copilot tools that are out there. As usual, if you want to learn more about any of that, please do get in touch.